returns to normal, our worries have not disappeared, but evolved. CalHope offers free COVID-19 emotional support. Call 1-833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org today.
Thrive. I can't just sell books. So I created a radio ad at iheart-radio-podcast-awards.com to tell everyone about our author events, our story hours for kids, and our amazing lattes. Now we're busier than ever. I call that a success story.
A custom radio ad from iHeart Ad Builder is the fast, affordable way to drive customers to your business. Put the power of radio to work for you. Get started now at iheart-radio-podcast-awards.com.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker. And each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading Ordinary brand. So you can get back to your milkshake. Get it, girl.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
The right gear, which is why I went on Kohl's.com and got an Adidas hoodie for under $45, picked up some Nike sneakers, and got a new fleece from Tech Gear for just $12.99. Oh, you can also get an extra 30, 20, or 15% off with your Kohl's card and get free store pickup. If only exercising was this easy. Select styles, Adidas and Nike. Coupons apply. Ends January 23rd. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Love the mochas here.
Too bad my budget doesn't.
Sarah, don't give it up. State Farm has options to get you a surprisingly great rate.
Thanks, Jake. Next round's on me.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
Lexus of Sacramento. Stop by 2600 Fulton Avenue today and enjoy all the modern comforts of this truly remarkable dealership. Buying your new Lexus is easier than ever in the new showroom that's built for the 21st century with you in mind. Every convenience you need is right at your fingertips. See how Lexus of Sacramento sets the standard for today's modern showrooms. It's a beautiful new day at Lexus of Sacramento. 2600 Fulton Avenue, online at lexusofsacramento.com.
It's when you enroll at a California community college. Whether you want to transfer to a four-year university or earn an associate degree, you'll find the support to help make it all happen. Classes can fill up quickly, so enroll today at icangotocollege.com.
How's it going? You know, I love talking to fans about my favorite moments on the field, but none of them are as important as my biggest moments off the field, like being there for my family when my kids were born. I wouldn't trade those moments for anything, and neither should you. If you're a new father, California Paid Family Leave can provide up to 8 weeks of partial wage replacement benefits so you can bond with your new baby. California Paid Family Leave. Moments matter. To learn more, visit CaliforniaPaidFamilyLeave.com.
Protect ourselves and loved ones from COVID-19. Getting vaccinated gives you the greatest protection against severe illness and death. And for the first time, everyone in the family ages 5 and up is eligible for the vaccine. If you are already fully vaccinated, get your booster to keep your immunity strong. Keeping each other safer is simple. Get vaccinated. Visit myturn.ca.gov to find a vaccination location near you. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
I don't know where to start. Generation is a nonprofit organization that provides free online training and support in web development, digital marketing, cloud, IT, and more. All at no cost to you. Yes, completely free. At the end of your training, we'll prepare you to earn free important industry credentials and help connect you to employers in your area. Find more than a job. Find a career. No tech experience necessary. Classes start soon. Apply today at usa.generation.org/training. That's usa.generation.org/training.
Drowning in IRS debt? If you can't afford to pay your IRS debt due to economic hardship, you can now be free of IRS collection efforts by taking advantage of a special Irs Tax Hardship program. This program allows Americans who owe the IRS to resolve their delinquent tax debt once and for all. In some cases, maybe even reducing what you owe significantly. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Simply dial 800-741-3179. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back or have years of unfiled tax returns, help is standing by. Just call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-741-3179 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-741-3179 to see if you qualify. That's 800-741-3179.
I'm Minnie Driver.
And on my podcast, Mini Questions, I ask trailblazers across different disciplines the same 7 questions. Questions about the inflection points in their life, what they like least about themselves, and what relationship has defined love for them. This season, I'm coming back with new trailblazers, like Blondie vocalist Debbie Harry, creative juggernaut Goldie, and many more. Join me as we continue this exploration on Season 2 of Mini Questions on the iHeart-Radio app, wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
And you're welcome at participating Taco Bell stores for a limited time only. Price and participation vary. Tax extra.
Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Add Gain scent beads for an even longer lasting scent.
And pieces of our crave-worthy comfort made spicy or classic. That's 10 legs and thighs packed with bold flavor. That's how we do value. So you can do the Church's 10 starting at $10.99 deal. Church's bringing them down home flavor.
Only the drivers who switched to Progressive could save big. But then what? Well, we could try to fill the remaining time with awkward pauses. It's often done for comedic effect. Is it working? I can't tell if this is funny. Maybe this is so bad it's funny. Wow, we really peaked at the save big when you switched to Progressive part. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
This music segment.
Let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports in the Trump of Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to people who love sports, all fair and love award. What a beautiful January the 18th, 2022. Grando Deportes, bonjour, Vini Vini Vici. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Charlton of Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And now we are actually at 22. That's 22 podcast applications. Get that some praise. Come on, get that some praise. Get that praise. 22 applications all over the universe. Really do appreciate that. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts, Alexa, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, iHeart-Radio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, and also number 10, Pod Chaser. Give that some praise because I'm tired. Gotta catch my breath. Give that some praise, catch my breath. On number 10, you try counting to 10. See how easy it is. You can follow Big C Sports on 11, Gio Saban Podcast. Number 12, Podtail Podcast. On YouTube Podcast, Hub Hopper Podcast, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line Podcast, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast. Number 19, Listen to Those Podcasts. Number 20, Podcast Wise. And then added this month of January 2022, Pod Bay, and also Verbal Podcast. So give that some praise all over the universe. Give that some praise. Give it praise. Really do appreciate that. Also, Big C Sports Podcast, streaming on 4 TV platforms all over the universe, from Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV, and I really do appreciate that. Takes a lot of hard work coming up with things to do on a podcast show, but I do it with my higher self. It's something that I love. I've been doing it for a long, long time, and I also want to pay homage to my family legacy on my mother's side. My great-grandmother, Mamo, just a wonderful person, kept the family strong together, made sure we all had food in our bellies. And then my great-grandfather, Pop, former Negro League baseball player, also known around the church for making the best moonshine in the universe. They're saying, boys, get out of that barn before I light these things. Like, what are all the barrels with the potatoes floating around, Grandpa? A lot of things when I was a little boy, it just makes me laugh again. And then my grandmother, Muddia, she was a wonderful person, a seer, just a wonderful industrious business person, could tell you everything about a person just by looking at them. And then my grandfather, Hezekiah, same kind of sweet, genuine individual. And then my beautiful mother helped start a Head Start program in Northern California and a food program to help feed people so you never went to bed hungry, and also helped win the Little League Championship of the universe. Give that some praise. I said, give Mama some praise. Come on, Head Start program, a food program, and a Little League championship of the universe. How many people can say they did that as a woman? The only black woman in the league, and with everybody's butt. That makes sense there. They all spread love award. And then on my father's side, the patriarch of the family, Albert Curry, a pastor, had 2 churches and then built the 3rd church in Central California, had 2 churches in the Bay Area. Also had 2 service stations in Oakland, California. Just an intelligent businessman, was into farming, construction, as well as the clergy, and then ran business. My grandmother, Alberta Curry, working along with my grandfather, Albert Curry, to work with the churches. Also, it's amazing how the gas, everybody needs gas. It's amazing. I remember as a little boy, sometimes gas was like 50 cents a gallon. Now that gets you like around the block, if that makes sense to you. Really do appreciate that. And my father, a retired Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, making sure we could fly high so we could all stay safe at night, saying always develop your mind to its highest extent. And then my beautiful brother Todd, with his bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd is speaking. Really do appreciate my handsome son, Malcolm, a college student. Very intelligent, hardworking, industrious. And Malcolm is just an amazing individual. Gives me NBA stats, knows everything inside and out all over the NBA. Just keep developing your mind, Malcolm, to the highest extent. Be your own person. Don't let anybody put shade on you. You got a bright future ahead of you. My beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the universe. College student, graduated, double major with honors in 3.5 years with semi stats and information with coaches that come to the West Coast, helping them to sign up for Big C Sports information. Really do appreciate that. Very, very bright young girl. And then partner Big C with all of his wealth of knowledge in the past. Give him all some praise. That's it. Give him all praise, praise, praise. Praise all over the universe. Just coming off of a Martin Luther King holiday, and everybody says, I have a dream. What is your dream? Is your dream just for you or for other people? I'm praising that Big C Sports is becoming more of a worldwide name. I just wanted to be a household name, but really have applications all over the world. And they are coming on. It's not like I'm begging people. Agencies are bringing them on because they want to hear what it's just amazing. Everybody has their own story about what they like and don't like, but not many podcasters in the universe have 22 applications. Give that some praise. Some people just have 2. There's 22. Oh my goodness, just had an epiphany. Big C Sports now has 22 applications in 2022. My pastor told me that this year will be a year of health, wealth, and wisdom. Just keep on giving God the praise. Give God the praise, praise, praise. I know where my source comes from. Everybody has a source, and I really want to say thank you for everybody that's helped me along the way. As I always remember, let's get ready to rumble! Come on, Big C Sports Podcast, ESPY nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I'm telling you, no scripts, no 3-way teleprompters, no producer in my ear. I always honor God, and I know the just shall walk by faith or talk by faith and not by sight. And you can give that some praise. I talk by faith and not by sight. Because if it was by sight, it wouldn't be here. There's so many things coming from funding packages for Big C Sports Podcast. That really is a sea change in the world of a broadcast for Big C Sports Podcast. Everybody needs, show me the money! What if Lee Steinberg and Jerry Steinberg, what was it, Jerry Maguire? With Tom Cruise and Lee Steinberg, group of getting introduced, show me the money! Everything can happen with funding. Really do appreciate funding partners with Big C Sports. I always produce the show. I direct every topic. I broadcast the shows. I do all of the sound effects based on what's provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives, especially after a crazy COVID. People not getting vaccinated for whatever reason. The hospitals are filling up, especially in some of the southern states. And then the agency does the commercials outside of New York, and then I post the stats. I do the stats and the storytelling. I also do the play-by-play, and hopefully we'll hear this over the weekend. Touchdown, San Francisco! Deebo Samuel, 50 yards. I don't think they're going to cheer in Green Bay, though. Hey, who knows? There's gold in them there hills. And Bang Bang Niner game, they've had a lot of fans that flooded into Los Angeles and a lot of fans that flooded into Dallas. I don't know if they'll flood all into Green Bay because it's a little bit cold in them there hills. But I think the 49ers have a good plan. If Shanahan can stick to it, they will advance. If he doesn't stick to it, it's all fair in love and war. And then I upload the platform to one platform to the agency. And now there's 22 platforms that play Big C Sports Podcast all over the world. I'm not making this up. You can Google it. And I really do appreciate that. So sometimes people will say, well, what about the mothership? Well, I challenge any one of those guys if they have 22 platforms that listen to their show all over the world. And they are pumped by a large funder, major funding that's coming to Big C Sports. Oftentimes, these major corporations, whether it's an ESPN or a Fox or any of those former erstwhile athletes that have a platform, they have major backers that are backing their shows. And even with that, they're not picked up by 22 platforms. Big C Sports is, and I have a lot of good things coming because I rise and shine every day. Give it to everybody who rises and shines. Don't worry about the haters. Don't worry about people that say, oh, you're not going to make it, or you're not doing anything. 22 platforms. That's a clue. That's for any young person that wants to start your own podcast business. Don't worry about the people who are not on your team. They're not going to help you anyway. Focus on the people that say you can do it and give them some praise. Really do appreciate that. I love doing Big C Sports Podcast. I never missed a show since starting Big C Sports on Salem Media, and we had just one app at that time. And I think they're at 112 markets. And that was September 12, 2015. Never missed a show. Even in some of the toughest days of my life, never missed a show. I love paying homage to what I call the universe. I pay homage to God as a young boy growing up, always involved in the church. I would hear oftentimes one of my favorite scriptures is in Genesis 13:15. It says, for all the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever. And the book of James, chapter 4, verse 2, said, ye have not because you ask not. If you want something, just ask. The answer is always yes or no. In fact, you cannot say the right thing to the wrong person, and you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. But stay away from mean people. Mean people will never do anything for you to criticize you. Oftentimes behind your back, let them go and jump on the lake, if that makes sense to you. All fair and level work. I do want to say I'm very happy to be affiliated with announcing a PSA that we've been doing for about 3 years now. The Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Everybody goes through something. I was in the office today, and I was just stretching my back and my feet, just trying to get a little creak out of my leg or whatever it was. And I saw this guy. I don't know if he was a veteran, but he had a jacket on and he had wings like he was in the military. Must have been about 60-something years old. He was in a wheelchair, and he had one leg. And I thought, here I am complaining that sometimes there's aches and pains. And here's a guy pushing himself in a wheelchair right by the office, and he had one leg. And I just want to say, for the Veterans Crisis Hotline, they help a lot of people. If you know anyone going through issues, you can pick up the phone and let them know there's help available. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net, and give it some praise. I said, give the Veterans Crisis Hotline some praise, praise, praise. We all need somebody to lean on, and they're the ones that come to our help whenever we have an issue. So really do want to say appreciate that. Also, very happy to be affiliated with Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3. God said, let there be light. Open your cell phones or electronic device and just say it. Say play Big C Sports Podcast, and you will see all of our apps pop up. In fact, 22 apps all over the world. Depending on what device you're using, they're out there, and they're growing. There's a lot more marketing coming to Big C Sports for 2022. Really do appreciate that. But it's out there Monday through Friday, 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it streams 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I want to say, give electronics some praise. Give technology praise, praise, praise. All friend, love, and war. You gotta, just like a sports athlete, you gotta know who's on your team. Also, I want to say, very happy to be affiliated with ValleyHomesWeekly.com, a national real estate show that shows cases, properties in Northern and Central California. And then also, if you want to know what's going on in real estate in your neck of the woods, go to that nationalrealestatepost.com. That's the nationalrealestatepost.com. If you want to know what's going on with mortgages in your neck of the woods all over the country, go to mortgagedailynews.com. That's mortgagedailynews.com, and they actually talk faster than I do. If that's funny. Who talks faster than me? Anyway, for all of you out there looking for funding, really do appreciate that. There's people who want to buy distressed properties also. But for funding, really happy to be a funding affiliate for over 250 lenders who fund between $10,000 and $400,000 in funding, and it can be used for any purpose for business startups, real estate investments, repairs and renovations, working capital, down payment assistance, investing in the stock market, debt consolidation, also student loans that I believe the Biden administration will write off retroactive to the year 2000. That would be a sea change for his administration. Also, if your minimum requirements are 650 credit score, $27,000 annual income, no new lines of credit, last 6 months, and then 2 years consistent income. If you want more information, call the Big C team at 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. And give that praise. I said give it praise. Give it all praise. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When I come back, we're going to talk about some football and some other things going on in the sports universe. And the former words of California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we're back on the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 22 podcast applications all over the universe. That's 22. And then streaming on 4 TV applications all over the universe. Really do appreciate that. I want to just say to people, it's none of my business. It ain't none of your business. There's a song by Missing Persons called It Ain't None of Your Business back in the 1980s, one of my favorite songs. But also, it ain't none of my business, if I can use my best English. Sports betting is all over this country. In fact, most places throughout the world. I just want to say my 2 cents is don't bet more than you can afford to lose. I get calls almost every day. Hey, Carlton, I got a can't-miss deal for you. I'm like, if the deal is so good, then why do you want to share that you're going to make $500 million? They want to share how you can make $500 million if you just give them $500. If it's so true, then why they want to share the pot with you? Why don't you just give me the money since you're so loaded that way? Just be careful trying to bet more than you can afford to lose. I also want to say this show is sponsored by Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% honest game. Sports fans, you watch the big game. Want to eat the Big C burger? It's a tasty burger and a custard with all this exotic meat. Also coming soon, the Big C coffee. It only comes in one size, extra large. Hey, we don't have 4 different sizes. One size extra large is all you need. If it's too big to drink, then pour the rest in a cup and save it for leftover coffee, if that makes sense to you. You know, I just really appreciate that. What's all those exotic meats and what's all those exotic beans? There's a lot of things happening in sports, and I really do appreciate being able to cover all the sports that happen in this country. I mean, there's just so much. I love it. I grew up watching sports. It really got me in a situation where I could do and see a lot of great people in my lifetime that were able to go out and make things happen for them. And I really just enjoy so much of the pleasure that came from meeting coaches that poured into my life, from my mother being a coach of Little League Baseball, and then also just seeing how everything just flows together. Last night, if you can see, SoFi Stadium is the most beautiful dome stadium in football. I said the most beautiful outdoor stadium in the NFL is really Levi Stadium over in San Francisco, Santa Clara. It's beautiful. Just the way it's designed. It's not like your typical bowl. It's just designed like it's from Silicon Valley, if that makes sense to you. But the SoFi Stadium, even Jerry Jones said, man, Crocky, why'd you have to build your house so... Why'd you need such a big house? Why'd you have to make your stadium so big? It's like the Big C coffee cup. Pour that in your cup. Why'd your cup have to be so big? Why'd your stadium have to be so big? But the Rams blew out the Arizona Cardinals last night, the Los Angeles Rams. Matthew Stafford had his first career playoff victory in a rout over Arizona. But I see it a different way. It was sponsored by that Big C burger. It's a tasty burger that comes with what's all those exotic meats and what's all those exotic beans, right? A ram and a cardinal are exotic meats, if that makes sense to you. But the way I look at it, Arizona was the last team to vote for a Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. In fact, they turned it down twice. And so on the day of Martin Luther King holiday, the team from Arizona came up to Los Angeles and they got beat 34-11. I just see the irony in that. There was no way the Cardinals were going to win that game. I also told you there are things that go on with the NFL too, as far as quarterbacking and how they were going to make Kyler Murray fall down to Matthew Stafford. I know that's a deeper conversation than some would want to have. but he's been a better quarterback all season long, except for that game for the most part. I know some people don't understand what I'm saying, but they got what they wanted. And there's no way Kyler Murray could have played that horrible, even if he tried. I think sometimes people are just so cynical about sports. If you see that last night, maybe why 34-11, a beat down. The Rams go to 12-5, and the Cardinals season is over at 11-6. So there you go. So much for trying to vote down a Martin Luther King holiday and then plan on that holiday. The NFL is something else. They scheduled the Cardinals to play on an MLK holiday. But there are a number of blowouts over the course of what they call Super Wild Card Weekend. And then Monday, there was another chance to see NFL football showcase in the Los Angeles Rams in front of a beautiful packed house in Los Angeles. Because of the holiday, LA, they were not a lady-robbing crowd this time. But they were able to go forward in the divisional round after knocking off the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I told you that, I even said, if you listen to what I'm saying, I got to toot my own horn. I said the Rams would win this game by at least a touchdown. That's on yesterday's show before the game was even over. Before it even kicked off, well, it was just after kickoff, basically. But I said the Rams would beat them by at least a touchdown. Las Vegas had it like 3 points. The favorite, I think they had a 3-point, they were a 3-point underdog. The Cardinals were, but they lost 34-11, which is a 23-point beatdown. And I mean, I feel like I've gone undefeated so far in the playoffs. You can look at every game I've called. You can compare it to anybody out there that's telling you who's going to win games. You can all of them, everywhere, all over the universe. Big C Sports is a perfect. Maybe I should bet some money. But they won't take $5 bets when I try to get the bookie. He's for $5. You insulted me. $5 for a bet. But I haven't missed on any game. I was right on the Cincinnati beating the Las Vegas Raiders. I said the Raiders would have a chance to win this game. If they came down needing a field goal to win, they would win it. I said if they came down needing a touchdown, they would lose it. And they threw an interception in the end zone with about 5 seconds left in the clock. Maybe I should bet. I also said that I wanted New England to beat Buffalo, but somebody's telling me I'm gonna be wrong. And I was right about that too. Maybe I should bet. Of course, everyone got right that Kansas City would blow out the Pittsburgh Steelers. Got that right. And said that San Francisco would beat Dallas. And I said that they were a 3.5-point underdog, even 4 at some points. I said the 49ers, if they run the ball between 35 and 40 times, they're 18-0 at the time. Now they're 19-0. They had 37 carries. They rushed for over 160 yards. That's a clue for Kyle Shanahan. If you run the ball 40 times at Green Bay, you're going to advance to the NFC Championship game. 40 carries. Between 35 and 40 because it sucks in the defense. And the passing game is better. And when Jimmy G's not throwing over 20 yards downfield, he's very successful. That's something that I know. I'm not even a coach. So I've hit every single game in the NFL. And this week is a little bit more difficult. My rationale is accurate. But there's some stuff going on with Las Vegas coming out of the San Francisco-Green Bay game that doesn't make any sense. The last time the 49ers played Green Bay, the year they went to the Super Bowl, Jimmy G threw the ball 18 times with Minnesota and Green Bay on the schedule. And their running game pounded because you cannot stop the Niners running game. If they do that again this year, they will advance to the NFC Championship game. Doesn't matter how cold it is. And everybody knows that in Vegas. So now they're saying that, there's some stuff coming out that the bookies will start talking about it. As we get closer to kickoff, will Bosa play? Will Warner play? Will they be healthy? If there's no shenanigans, I'm telling you, they're going to go down or up to Green Bay and touch down Aaron Rodgers. They're going to double-team Davante Adams and make everybody else beat you, and they can't. Even the first game in San Francisco, the Niners were down 17-0 before they scored a touchdown with Trey Lance on the sweep right before halftime. And they went into halftime down 17-7. They came back and took the lead in the fourth quarter, and they had a kickoff. They went to the end zone. There was 37 seconds left on the clock. There was a pass interference on Davante Adams where he laid on the field for a couple of minutes, and then he was fine. So if he was fine, why was he on the field for a couple of minutes? Aaron Rodgers even said in the interview, he went and looked at him, he said, I was fine. So if he's fine, why is he on the field for a few minutes? I'm just telling you, it let them get in the field goal range, and Crosby kicked a 50-yard field goal with no time left. If the Niners run the ball and understand they don't have to keep up with the passing game, they'll win that game. The Rams going in, I'll talk about that later. I want to finish this game last night. I'm so juiced. But when you think about what happened with Kingsbury's team last night, right out of the gate, they were just playing like they were a high school team versus an NFL team. And they weren't even playing a blocking scheme. Kyler Murray was throwing interceptions that helped the Rams build a 3-score lead at the break. He's never done that in his career in college, at Oklahoma, or the NFL. Why in a playoff game? I told you, Arizona, they voted against the Martin Luther King holiday. There was no way the NFL was going to allow Arizona to win that game. I know people don't think that way, but I do. And I even talked about it before the game started. The second half didn't play any better. The Rams opened up the third quarter with a 75-yard touchdown drive to go up 28-0, and they put the hammer on the Arizona Cardinals. And you all know what happens when you hit a Cardinal with a hammer. It's not a good sight. if that makes sense to you. But they came out, they hammered them. Now, touchdown Matthew Stafford won his first ever playoff game in 13 seasons. He was 13 of 17 passes, 202 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he had a 154.5 passer rating. Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham Jr., he threw to them a lot. They combined for 115 yards receiving on 9 catches, along with a touchdown. These had a touchdown. And then on the Cardinals side, Kyler Murray was 19 of 34, 137 yards of buck breaking, and 2 interceptions. And Arizona, as a team, they rushed for 60 yards in the entire game. 60. Isn't that something? The NFL got what they wanted. The Rams, they got a win at SoFi. That was their first win in their stadium in the playoff game. So it will go down in history. The first ever win for the Rams at SoFi Center in the playoffs, they got it at home against the Arizona Cardinals, their conference rivals. So give the LA some praise because the crowd showed up last night. They showed up last night and they cheered. It was a great environment. SoFi Stadium, the Super Bowl is going to be amazing. When you look at the Rams defensively, they were able to shut down the Cardinals offense. Very few yards after catch. I told you that Kyler Murray would run himself into sacks. He did that last night. He runs too much outside of the pocket. And they don't have DeAndre Hopkins, which was a big reason they also lost that game. And that led to 4 straight 3-and-outs, followed up by 2 turnovers by a defense that put the game away by the middle of the second quarter. Matthew Stafford, how did the Rams win 34-11? He threw for 200 yards. I'm telling you, some things are designed that way. But it was a great game by the Rams. When I think about Odell Beckham Jr., what a great receiver he is. And Cleveland did not want him. They didn't want that talent. They said, get out. So he got out and went to L.A., La La Land, found a much greener pasture. There's gold and dim their hills in Los Angeles. And but simply put, the fact is Arizona just failed to show up. In a playoff game on Monday night, they had a slow start, and they had 4 straight and 3-and-outs. And this is a team that I've seen up close and personal. They're a lot better football team than what they showed. But they were just part of whatever was going on in L.A. The thing is to get the Rams at least into the next round of playoffs where they'll play Tampa Bay. And I think that script is going to be up. I'll reveal that script later coming up in the week. I may be wrong, but I'm undefeated so far. I might be totally wrong this weekend's game, but I picked them all accurately so far. There's a clue. Maybe I should bet. But they won't take $5 bets. I don't believe in betting anyway. But I think there's so much going on for football this year. The first half, the Cardinals had just 40 yards of offense and 3 first downs. You couldn't do that if you tried. Really. But LA is a land of make-believe. Is La La Land. People to go there to be famous. You just got to learn to read a script. No way that team in Arizona would have only 40 yards in the first half. Kyler Murray played like he's trying to not play NFL football. But sometimes you got to do what you do. because the league was not going to let him outshine Matthew Stafford. The Rams put up, think about this, 21 and gave them a cushion to completely run away with the win. You're going to see a different Rams team against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't know if they're going to win the game going all the way across the country from the West Coast to the East Coast. But we will see. They advance to the division round. They're going to take on the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are off of a blowout win over Philadelphia on Sunday. And it's going to kick off at 3 o'clock p.m. East Coast time Sunday at Raymond James Stadium. There's so much to talk about in the NFL coming down the stretch. I love the business no matter what people think about shenanigans. It is LA. It is La La Land. It's a land of make-believe. It's a place where people go to make their dreams come true. And I love football no matter what people say about it. I'm going to take what's called the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. When I come back, I'm going to talk more about some football and the NFL playoffs. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, we're back on the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 22 podcast applications all over the universe. 22 applications in 2022. Give that some praise. 22 applications in 2022. And when you think about it, only the universe can line things up that way. 22 applications in 2022? Come on. I believe in that. Call it more manifestation. When I look at some more of what's happening in the NFL, I really can't get in. Oh my God, I'm so excited about it. The NFL betting odds. I want to look at the divisional round spreads, including the Bills at the Chiefs. And as much as Kansas City is going to be at home, they're going to be a slight favorite in this game. But don't be surprised if Buffalo beats them, because the Chiefs have already been to 3 AFC championship games. Who can stop them from going to 4 in a row? The team that went to 4 in a row, Buffalo, back in the days of Jim Kelly and Isaac Bruce and Thurman Thomas and all them good old boys up in Buffalo. So who can stop the Kansas City Chiefs from going to their 4th AFC championship game? They've been to 2 of them already. Actually, they've been to 3. They lost to New England, and then they came back and beat Tennessee in the other. And then last year they got the win in their 2 playoff games with Cleveland and also Buffalo. It's just stuff that you got to understand, that I'm understanding too. I don't know everything, but I'm undefeated so far, so I have as much credibility as anybody else that you're listening to. But there won't be much of a better matchup the entire playoffs than Buffalo against Kansas City, because the betting world is all over this. Something's going on. I can't put my fingers on it. There's no reason whatsoever that Buffalo should be able to go into Kansas City and win. So why is the spread only 2 points? This one is just, there's no way that you can tell me that Josh Allen is a better quarterback than touchdown Patrick Mahomes. But I'm going to tell you something, because I believe, do you believe in miracles? The great Al Michaels. There's something that I noticed when the football season began, and people can say what they want to say, but sometimes there's a clue. And I believe in clues. So I was looking at a magazine, and many of them came out. But the 32nd anniversary issue of Pro Forecast is a forecast. And this came out before the start of the 2021 football season. It was called Fantasy Football. And it talked about the bonus and the experts mock draft and the strength of schedules and more than 300 player projections. There's one quarterback that was on this magazine. You can Google it. The Pro Draft Forecast special 32nd anniversary issue. And the quarterback on the front of it, you would have thought touchdown Patrick Mahomes. You would have thought touchdown Tom Brady. You would have thought touchdown Aaron Rodgers. You would have thought touchdown Russell Wilson. All guys that have played in the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl. Is a kid out of Fireball, California, a farming community in the Central Valley. near Fresno. And he went to Kings River Junior College in Reedley, California. And then University of Wyoming. His name is Josh Allen. Isn't that something? Take the Big C pause. We'll be right back in just a moment. All right, we're back to the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 22 podcast applications all over the universe. You're streaming on 4 TV applications. I really do appreciate that. Give that some praise. So Allen's thrown for over 4,400 yards this year. Mahomes has thrown for over 4,800 yards. But rarely have you seen the NFL allow one team to go to the finals 4 years in a row. It's happened with the Buffalo Bills. Who can stop the Kansas City Chiefs from going to the AFC Championship game 4 years in a row? It's a team they're playing, the Buffalo Bills. A team that just blew out New England. They're coming into Kansas City. Mahomes is a much better quarterback than Allen. Kansas City's defense is playing great. I don't know what's going on in this, but I just tell you what I saw on the front of Pro Forecast special 32nd anniversary issue of fantasy football. You can laugh all you want. They put Josh Allen on there. They didn't put Patrick Mahomes, who had been to 3 AFC Championship games. They didn't put Tom Brady, who had won 7 Super Bowls and been to 10. They didn't put him on there. It's Josh Allen. You might say, what's that got to do with anything? Well, we'll see. Las Vegas understands what I'm saying. We will see. Looking for a good game. So Tampa, they have the LA Rams coming in. And what do Pirates do when they have a lamb on the table? What a bunch of Pirates do when a lamb is on the table? Tom Brady, his first Super Bowl championship, they beat the Rams. It was down in New Orleans. It was my first year on Sports Talk USA. They beat the Los Angeles Rams down in New Orleans. They kicked a field goal to win it. And in fact, John Madden was doing the analyst work in that game, and he was saying that they should down the ball and go and to just settle for overtime. But New England got the football and went on down the field to kick the field goal and won it. And they won that game against the greatest show on turf. Okay? And also the Super Bowl just a couple of years ago, when the Rams went back, who beat them? They're going to say Tom Brady. But it was the New England Patriots. Who was the quarterback? Tom Brady. And now you have the Rams that beat Tampa Bay in Los Angeles. They were more dominant at SoFi Stadium, and they caused a lot of problems for Tampa in that game. Now, Tampa's struggling on the offensive line, so that gives me a little bit of pause. But in all of the big games that mattered in the playoffs or Super Bowls, when Brady's gone up against the Rams, different organization, same organization, different team, different coach, different players. But they've always called it so that Brady could get a win over the Rams. And there was a play that was so egregious against Philadelphia last week that they gave Tampa Bay a first down. There was not a rough on the passer on Tom Brady, but you can't touch him because he's the NFL's prodigal son, and they were able to get a touchdown on that same drive. You may see some more shenanigans in that game also in Tampa. So there's 2 rules of thumb, just from people that talk to me, and I don't know if they're right or wrong, but the NFL would love to see another Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers part 2. Because last year, Aaron Rodgers on the 8-yard line, I think they had 4th and goal from the 8-yard line, and the floor said, let's kick a field goal so we can be down by 5. If that makes sense to you. He only wanted to be down by 5. As opposed to going for it and scoring a touchdown and going for 2 and tying the game going to overtime. Let's kick the ball back to Tom Brady and hope that we can go 3 and out, which they hadn't done in the whole game. So, with 3 minutes left. That's the theory. That's the thinking out there. I do believe that Shanahan has his own script. 35-40 runs. The 49ers are 19-0. Give me some praise for knowing that. If I know that, Shanahan knows that. The last time they played against Green Bay, they were pretty much neck and neck for passing yards. Garoppolo and also Aaron Rodgers. And that's where the 49ers fell. Run the ball. You run the ball, you win the game. But if Jimmy G tries to go out and outdo Aaron Rodgers, they're not going to let it happen. You got to run the ball, you milk the clock. That's just, you get the defense tired. Green Bay, they do not have a solid run defense. Everybody knows that. The Lions beat them. And Cleveland would have beaten them, but Baker Mayfield didn't understand that they had over 200 yards rushing against that same Green Bay Packers defense. Shanahan knows that. So if they go in there with a mindset of watch the championship game from Levi Stadium when you went to the Super Bowl and you beat that same Green Bay Packer team, it was a domination because they ran the ball down their throats. Green Bay's not good at stopping the run. I don't care how cold it gets. So you'll know by halftime. I can only say so much about that. The 49ers should have at least 20 rushes by halftime in that game. No matter what the score is, run the ball. They can't stop you. Short passes. Green Bay's got to throw over the top, but you double cover Devontae Adams. Who they're going to throw to? I mean, there's so many factors in that game. Bosa's going to play unless shenanigans are going on, and Werner's going to play unless there's shenanigans. Guys can play in that game. One had an ankle, one had a concussion, but they'll be fine. They play on Saturday. That's just my opinion about that game. But I know the NFL TV wants to see Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers again, and maybe the last time they'll play against each other with so much on the line in a championship game. They never met in the Super Bowl, but last year was like hyped like a Super Bowl, but there were hardly any fans at Lambeau Field last year because of COVID. So we'll see what happens. The Cincinnati Bengals at Tennessee. The Titans are only 3.5-point favorite because Cincinnati can flat out throw the football. But if touchdown Derrick Henry plays, he's a runaway freight train. You control the clock, and Cincinnati rarely plays two great games back to back. And they played a good game against the Raiders. Not a great game, but a good game against the Raiders. And the Raiders are still close to catching them at the end. Just didn't happen, though. They lost by 7. Tennessee has a better run game than the Raiders. Maybe passing game's about the same. But Tennessee's going to have to run the ball, and that way Tannehill can hit some open passes. But at the same time, just like the 49ers, you got to double-team Devontae Adams. Jamar Chase has to be double-teamed also because he is amazing. You got to double-team him. We'll see if they do that or not. I mean, there's so much in these football games that's coming up for this weekend. I'm excited about it. I can't wait to see it. I love football. I know a lot of people do too, so that's Big C's thoughts. And I'm going to come back and talk a little bit about the NBA and what's going on in the NBA basketball universe. And the world of former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. All right, we're back on the Big C Balls, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 22 podcast applications all over the universe. Alabama football, real quick before I get in the NBA. Alabama football coach Nick Saban, 7-time national champion coach, 1 at LSU, 6 at Alabama. Nick Saban is talking about voting rights legislation. And that has actually made some people in the South feel a little bit uncomfortable that Nick Saban wants everyone to count the votes. Count all the votes. I said, shut up and just stick to football, coach. But it's all fair love and war. Sports and politics goes all the way to the Big C Sports. But Alabama head coach Nick Saban, he doesn't really talk about politics much. He just focuses on winning football games. But he's supporting voting rights legislation, and that may make him unpopular in the South. Okay, true story. So Nick Saban is one of 5 prominent West Virginia sports figures to sign a letter to senators. Joe Manchin's one of them, urging him to pass the Freedom to Vote Act that's coming up for a vote this week. And There's a lot of other athletes that are starting to not be afraid. Legendary University of West Virginia basketball star, NBA Hall of Famer Jerry West also signed the document, as did former West Virginia and Buffalo Bills linebacker Darryl Talley. Isn't that something? There's a lot of players. Former NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue offered his signature as well. But there's some people who don't like Nick Saban sticking his nose into politics. They said, you sound a lot better on the sideline, coach. We don't like your kind meddling into our politics. We want people to vote. What the hell's wrong with you, Nick? Anyway, it's good to see some athletes taking their head out of the sand and not just being knuckleheads and sports jocks. And they're getting into saying it's good for everyone to vote. Who doesn't want people to vote? This is the United States of America. Everyone has a right to vote. Just get informed as much as you can. If you can't read, Google it. They're saying, shut up, coach. We just want you to coach football. Quit meddling into politics. True story. Crazy, isn't it? You would think in 2022 that people would encourage voting. And now we're coming up on, they're going to pass the Freedom Act for voting this week. I believe it's going to be Wednesday. It's crazy that we're still talking about that in 2022. Why not have everyone with the right to vote? Isn't that something? It only makes sense. But that's why we live in America. People have a right to do what they want to do. I say voting's necessary. It just makes sense. Maybe if they just get more people to say it's okay to vote, doesn't matter. No one's telling you what side to vote for. Just vote. Make your voice known. I want to touch briefly on the NBA power rankings and what I feel coming up on. I may even get more into it tomorrow to do it some justice, because there's a lot more things I want to talk about. And I think as far as the power rankings go, everybody has their own thoughts. This time of the year, between Christmas and the All-Star break, is when the season can feel kind of like it's slowing down. It's about trying to find out who stays healthy. A lot of players in and out of lineups because of COVID. Some coaches have been in and out of lineups because of COVID. Some players dealing with injuries. But if you think about it, the Golden State Warriors have lost 5 of their last 7 games. And one of their 7 losses was against the Milwaukee Bucks, who also lost 5 of their last 7. And then the Brooklyn Nets, they lost 6 of 9 before winning on Saturday. And 1 of 3 wins that in that stretch was against the Chicago Bulls, who've lost 4 of 5. The Utah Jazz, they just got beat down in Los Angeles at the Crypto.com arena. Lost all their Bitcoin, if that makes sense to you. But the Jazz had lost 4 straight before getting Rudy Gobert back on Sunday. Didn't help against LA. So it makes us a lot of chaos at the top of the power rankings. I think I'll get more into the power rankings tomorrow. But when you think about the Memphis Grizzlies, they saw their 11-game winning streak come to an end. That was on Friday. And they take over the number 1 spot now in Big C's NBA power rankings, having beaten the Phoenix Suns, the Brooklyn Nets, and the Golden State Warriors over the course of the streak before they finally got knocked off the track. And when you think about that, 11 in a row, that's incredible. But they still have a lot of players are going to figure out how to stay healthy. We got some issues with Golden State. They got to figure things out, too. When you think about some of the players doing the right things, Julius Randle, New York Knicks, was a plus minus 57 in 3 games last week. Reggie Jackson for the Clippers, he was a minus 54 in 3 games last week. When you look at teams of the week, the New York Knickerbockers, 3-0, are making the same climb that they made at this point last season. In Los Angeles, Keith Sweat says something just ain't right. They got it right last night. Even Magic Johnson saying something's got to change. They can't be a mediocre team in LA. They won't let it happen. When you look at Eastern Conference versus Western Conference, the West is 116 and 113 against the East in interconference games. But the East went 11-8 last week. The strength of schedule, the toughest has been Portland so far, Indiana and Orlando. And the easiest schedule, New York Knicks, Milwaukee Bucks, and Utah Jazz. And it's based on the opponent's record. So, again, some players are out of games because of COVID. But when you look at some of the teams to watch, I think the Memphis Grizzlies, that 11-game winning streak was snapped on Friday, and that was at the end of a stretch of 8 games in 12 days after having the weekend off. They also continue to stretch where they're playing 9 of 10 against teams that are currently over 500. I mean, they have a lot riding on John Morant staying healthy. Everybody has to stay healthy. But games with the Bulls, they also going to see Milwaukee on Wednesday, and then Denver on Friday, Dallas next Sunday, San Antonio next Wednesday. There's so much happening in the NBA that I love. And this talk about this time last year, the Lakers and the Bucks, they were on the top spot before the matchup this week. The Nets traded for James Harden, sending Jared Allen to Cleveland. And then I think they sent LeVert over to Houston, and he was then rerouted. Harden recorded, at the time, had a 32-point triple-double in his Nets debut, while Nikola Jokic was averaging a triple-double through 13 games. And then the Lakers had the best record in the league. C.J. McCollum and then Nurkic with both suffered injuries that knocked them out for 2 months. And the great Zion Williamson had a one finish in Sacramento, an N1 finish. But this was a great year for basketball. I just want to see players stay healthy. It's been a tough year because having to get through COVID and all the other issues that the NBA has been facing, just trying to keep players healthy, that's part of the whole structure of the NBA. How do you stay healthy in a league where COVID's knocked players out and coaches out? And how do you keep your star players? Draymond Green's out for a couple more games. Steph Curry's having some little ache in his giddy up on his shooting arm. Klay Thompson's still trying to get his groove back. And then you have the thing with Kyrie Irving. Can he play in all cities? Tonight's a very, very slight NBA schedule. We have Minnesota at the New York Knickerbockers. That game's already underway on NBA TV. And then Detroit is in San Francisco playing the Golden State Warriors on NBA TV also. So it's a short schedule for the NBA, but there's a lot of good things going on in the world of sports, from college basketball. You know, March Madness is right around the corner. I know we're here in the heart of January, and people are just crazy about NFL football. But I love the fact that through Big C Sports, no matter who you listen to, I picked every game in the wild card weekend for the NFL. Every single one of them. Got them all right. So we'll see what happens coming up this week. Just a couple of things out there in the world of sports. And people want to jump on Dak Prescott by saying he should have slid down earlier. If it were not for Dak Prescott, the Cowboys would not have even won their division, the NFC East. Dak Prescott set records for touchdown passes for the Cowboys, and that's the coach's problem for having them try to run a quarterback sneak or draw play with 14 seconds left. That should have been you blame the coaches. That's not the quarterback's fault. Seattle Seahawks, they fired defensive coordinator Ken Norton Jr. and defensive assistant Andre Curtis, so they're making some changes up in Seattle. Now, I was telling you about some shenanigans that coming out of Vegas. We just saw what Jimmy G did to the Rams on the road and to Dallas on the road. Now they're saying the 49ers quarterback Jimmy G has a slightly sprained throwing shoulder, but he should be okay for the games. If you hand off the ball, it doesn't matter. Don't throw more than 15 times. Don't throw more than 20 yards downfield. But I'm telling you, things that they want to see, touchdown Aaron Rodgers and touchdown Tom Brady part 2. You're only going to hear that on Big C Sports. You don't need a sprained shoulder to hand off. It can be broken shoulder, still hand off. Hand the ball off to your running backs, Elijah Mitchell, Deebo Samuel. Short passes to Kittles and Ayuk. You'll be fine. The defense is going to do their thing unless they're going to fall for some shenanigans. Jacksonville special teamer Lorente McCray arrested, charged with fleeing the police after a high-speed pursuit. Really crazy. Arizona Cardinals safety Buda Baker leaves the field on a stretcher, but he's released from a hospital. He had a heart collision down at SoFi Stadium. It was nice to see both teams come to his defense and rally around him and give him nice well wishes. There's a brotherhood in sports that I love seeing that, and it's nice to have that. But I'm telling you, there's some stuff going on. Chicago Bears great Dan Hampkins gets 1 year probation after pleading guilty to drunk driving charge. How dumb are you to drink and drive nowadays? A lot of guys are just dumb. Just dumb. How many more tragedies? We don't need any more tragedies. All's fair in love and war. Back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Brady Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you flow like a butterfly, sting like a bee, you rumble, young man, rumble. With all you've got to use, how can you lose? Ali would say, I'm so pretty. I'm so pretty I can't possibly be beat because all these big cheeseburgers make me light on my feet. That's why I'm always rumbling. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee because the big C cup and the big C coffee, which only comes in extra large, and the big cheeseburger makes me hungry. When I'm hungry, I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I'm floating so much, dancing on my feet, because all that big C coffee only comes in extra large. My beautiful mother says there's never evidence used for racism or domestic violence. If you know anybody going through that garbage, pick up the phone and ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. As we always tell you on every Big C Sports Show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.